We all love a good night's sleep, right? But for older adults, daytime sleepiness, well, could be a bigger deal than we think.
That's true.
We're looking at a recent CNN article, and it talks about a new study
Ugh.
all about sleep and, you guessed it, dementia risk.
Yeah, it's a hot topic. And the study, it was published in Neurology, a pretty big deal, really highlights how sleep problems, certain ones, are linked to, cognitive decline.
So where are we going with all of this today? What's the big question?
Well, I think we're going beyond just sleep is good, that's obvious. We're getting specific, like what kinds of sleep problems are we talking about here and how does this research, fit into what we already know about dementia?
Right, because we've talked about sleep and dementia like a lot.
Right, but this is new. This is new information.
Exactly. So how about we break down this study? What exactly did they do?
Okay, so they followed 445 adults, average age 76, and they tracked them for about 3 years.
3 years.
Which, for research, it's longer than some, but it's still relatively short for saying this is it, this is the definitive answer.
Yeah, I get that.
But they used this really well-respected sleep assessment, and get this, they had everyone walk on treadmills.
Wait, they measured their walking speed. Why? How is that connected to dementia?
That's the fascinating part. It's all about something called motoric cognitive risk syndrome.
Motoric.
MCR for short. And basically, slowed walking speed, gait speed, plus if someone's complaining about memory issues, it could be an early sign of this MCR.
And that's like bad news.
Oh, yeah. MCR more than doubles your risk of developing dementia. So, big red flag.
Wow. Okay, so where does sleep fit into all of this?
So here's the surprise. The study found that it's daytime dysfunction that was linked to this MCR risk, not just bad sleep overall.
Wait, so you mean not like tossing and turning all night?
Right. It's more about excessive daytime sleepiness, lack of, that get up and go, especially if it's a change from how someone usually is.
So, like, if I'm falling asleep during my afternoon crossword, should I be worried?
Well, we got to remember this is one study, and we all have days where we're just wiped.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think the takeaway is, for older adults, persistent, excessive daytime sleepiness, it's something to talk to your doctor about. Could be a sign of something more.
So it's more about like a pattern, not a one-off.
Exactly. It makes you think, right? Is it early dementia messing with sleep? Or are sleep problems contributing to decline? It's kind of chicken or the egg thing.
So if someone's like forgetting things more, is that because they're not sleeping? Or is the poor sleep a symptom of something already going on in their brain?
Exactly. It's a tricky one, and it's something researchers are really trying to untangle.
Well, this is all really fascinating. But before we get like too deep into it, why is this also important? Why should our listeners care about this?
Because remember, MCR, it increases dementia risk significantly. So figuring out these risk factors like daytime sleepiness could be huge in preventing or delaying decline. It's about being proactive.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So now that we know about this sleep link, let's talk about what might be going on in the brain. What's the science here?
All right, so one of the main theories is all about how sleep cleans up the brain. Literally.
Cleans up, like what?
Well, when we sleep, our brains are busy getting rid of waste products, neurotoxins they're called.
Neurotoxins.
Yeah, it sounds scary, but it's just like byproducts of the brain doing its thing.
So like trash.
Exactly. And if it builds up, it can interfere with how the brain works, contribute to, things like Alzheimer's.
So our brains have like a little cleaning crew that comes out when we sleep.
Pretty much. And if we're not getting good sleep, that crew can't do its job properly.
So what happens if the neurotoxins aren't getting cleared out?
Well, it can lead to inflammation, damage in the brain, and that can, make cognitive decline worse. It's like adding fuel to the fire.
So sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's about like protecting our brains in the long run.
You got it. And we've been talking about sleep, but it's not the whole story.
Oh, right. There's more.
Like diet, exercise, being social, all that stuff matters for a healthy brain too.
There's like a whole package deal.
Exactly. But before we get into all that, let's just recap what we've learned about sleep and dementia so far, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Sounds good to me. I think it's really important to say, this study was about older adults, but it's never too early to think about brain health, right? Good sleep habits now, they can have lasting benefits.
Totally. Healthy habits are an investment. We'll be right back after a quick break to talk about what all this means for you and what you can do to keep your brain healthy. So we've been talking about this link between daytime sleepiness and dementia risk. It's a lot to take in. Like, what can we actually do with this information?
Right. It's all well and good to know about the research, but then what?
Exactly. So should we all be running out to get sleep studies done? Is that the next step?
I wouldn't say everyone needs a sleep study, but if you are dealing with, that excessive daytime sleepiness and it's not your norm, it's definitely a conversation to have with your doctor, at least a starting point.
Okay, that makes sense. What are some, like, red flags to watch out for ourselves or, loved ones?
Well, if you're relying on caffeine or naps just to function, that's a big one. Or if people around you have noticed, like you're not as energetic, not as engaged,
Yeah.
those are things to pay attention to.
So it's not just about how much I'm sleeping at night, it's how I'm feeling during the day, too.
Exactly. It's the whole picture. And if your doctor thinks something's up, well, then there are treatment options.
Okay, so what kind of treatments are we talking about?
It really depends. Sometimes it's simple stuff like getting on a regular sleep schedule, having a relaxing bedtime routine, getting enough exercise.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are there other things people can do to improve their, sleep hygiene?
Totally. Think about your bedroom. Is it dark? Quiet? Cool? Avoid screens before bed. That blue light messes with your melatonin.
Melatonin, right? That's the sleep hormone.
Right, so it's about setting yourself up for success. But sometimes it's more than that. Some people might have a sleep disorder, like sleep apnea.
Sleep apnea, that's where you stop breathing during the night.
Right, and there are treatments for that, like a CPAP machine. It helps keep your airways open.
So it's not always a simple fix, like just taking a sleeping pill.
No, not at all. Pills can be helpful in some cases, for sure, but it's really important to get to the root of the problem, not just mask the symptoms.
Right, that makes sense. Now, we talked earlier about how other things besides sleep are important for a healthy brain.
Oh, absolutely. Sleep's huge, but it's not the only thing.
So what else should we be thinking about?
Well, diet is super important. Eating lots of fruits and veggies, healthy fats, those give your brain the nutrients it needs. Exercise is key too. It gets the blood flowing to the brain, helps grow new brain cells.
New brain cells, that's good.
Yeah. And don't underestimate being social. Staying engaged with people keeps your mind sharp. There's even evidence that managing hearing loss can protect your cognitive function.
Wow, it's like everything's connected.
It really is. A healthy body means a healthy brain. But we also have to remember, genetics plays a role too. It's not all on us.
Right, some things we can't control.
Exactly. We can't totally eliminate our risk of dementia, but we can definitely do things to lower it.
So it's about, like, taking charge of the things we can control.
Exactly. And it can feel overwhelming, all these things we should be doing, but start small, make little changes, and build from there.
Okay, that feels doable. It's good to know we have some control over this.
For sure. We're not just helpless, we can be proactive about our brain health.
I like that. So as we wrap up this conversation, what's the main thing you want our listeners to take away?
I think the biggest takeaway is don't just brush off daytime sleepiness, especially if you're older. Talk to your doctor. It might be nothing, or it might be a sign of something that needs attention. And the earlier we catch things, the better.
That's a good reminder. Early detection is so important. Before we go, do you have any final, thought-provoking questions to leave our listeners with?
Given how important sleep is for our brains and how much it might impact dementia risk, I think it's worth asking, how do we as a society need to change how we think about sleep, especially as we get older?
That's a really interesting question. Makes you think about how we value sleep and if we need to make some changes.
Right. Sleep isn't just a luxury, it's essential for our health, our well-being, our whole lives.
Well said. And for our listeners who want to dig deeper into this, definitely check out the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index. Talk to your doctor and share this deep dive with anyone you think might find it helpful. Knowledge is power.
Absolutely. The more we know, the better choices we can make. Thanks for joining us.
We've been talking a lot about this connection between daytime sleepiness and dementia risk. And it's a lot.
It is. It's a lot to absorb. But, we don't want people to walk away feeling scared or like they need to stress about every little thing.
Right, like if I miss my afternoon nap, I'm doomed.
Exactly. We all have those days where we're more tired than others. This is really about awareness.
Yeah, just knowing that sleep is important,
Yeah,
especially as we get older.
exactly. It's not just about feeling good. It's about protecting our brains.
So as we wrap up our deep dive on this topic, what's the one thing you really want our listeners to remember?
Don't brush off excessive daytime sleepiness, especially as you get older. If it's a change for you, talk to your doctor about it. It's always better to be safe than sorry.
I agree. Early detection is so important. It gives us more options, a better chance to protect our brains.
Exactly. And it's never too early to start thinking about brain health.
That's a great point. Well, thanks for joining us today on this deep dive. It's been a really eye-opening conversation.
My pleasure. To everyone listening, sleep well.
Yeah.